Hello friends and welcome to this video on Authentic English. And in this video we are going to discuss the story Quality by John Galsworthy. But before we begin with the explanation of the story, I would like you to subscribe to my channel if you have not already done so, and also hit the bell icon next to it so that you are notified about all new videos I upload to this channel. This channel features videos on English literature which will help you a lot in your studies. So now let's first of all talk a little about the writer. When we study a piece of literature, it becomes very important to talk a little about the author, because you see, the author has a certain way of writing. He has certain themes which, if we talk about before we begin with the actual story or the text, is going to help us. So first of all, John Galsworthy was an English writer who won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1932. Okay, so he was born in 1867 and he died in 1933, and just a year before his death he received the Nobel Prize in Literature. Okay, so he was a great writer. He was a great novelist, and he's especially known for his novels. Although he wrote many plays, he's especially known for his novels, and one of his best novels includes the Forsyte Saga. Just a minute, let me have a glass of water. So his works challenge social norms and aim to bring about a social change. So one of the peculiar characteristics of his works is that they aim to change the society. So he's able to identify the problematic things that are there in the society, and by his works he hopes to bring about a change. Okay, he has fought for various causes which include women empowerment and censorship. So he has written on various causes. He has promoted various causes which include women empowerment and censorship. So you understand what censorship is? When you ban books, films, etc., you censor out things because people in power censor them out because they think that they are going to harm the society. And he also worked for prison reform. Prison reform is when you talk about changing the type of prisons, because sometimes people are punished for even small crimes, and so we do not need so many prisons in the world. We do not need so many criminals. So prison reform is one of the things that he fought for. So John Galsworthy aims to bring about a social change through his writing. He writes a lot about the society. Okay, he identifies what things are there going on in the society, and through his writings he tries to depict the problems so that people can arrive at a solution. Now Quality is also one of the stories in which some kind of social problems are highlighted. When we analyze the story, we'll find that out. So first of all, let me tell you what Quality is all about. His story Quality is taken from the collection called The Inn of Tranquility. So this was a series of stories and essays which was published in various magazines, and the Quality is one of those stories, one of the stories from this collection. Quality features a meticulous okay, so let me talk about the plot of the story. In Quality we see a shoemaker, a very great shoemaker, somebody who considers shoemaking an art. Okay, so there is a man who considers shoemaking an art, and he produces the finest quality of leather boots and shoes. Okay, he makes the best boots, but he does not advertise his products, and he is very busy. He does not compromise on quality at all. Now what happens is that because of the rising of newer firms and other companies which advertise a lot and which produce inferior quality products, he ultimately passes away. You know why he passes away? He dies in the end because he is always busy in making shoes. Okay, the customers are not going to wait for long, and when you produce a quality product, a handmade product, it takes a long time. So he's always busy making shoes. He does not spend money on advertising because he does not like advertising. And then there is a lot of competition in the market. Everybody else is advertising. Everybody else is advertising their products. But this guy is not advertising his products at all. So he loves shoemaking. He does not compromise in quality at all. So he uses the best quality leather. He uses the best quality of leather. So he's not able to, first of all, make much money. He's not able to profit, and then he's so involved because he's making all the shoes by hand. He makes customized shoes. Okay, he does not make shoes, ready-made shoes, okay, that can fit the foot of any wearer. He makes customized shoes. So he's making so many shoes that are given to him as orders that he forgets to eat, and ultimately he starves himself to death. Okay, so what happens is that he's only busy in making shoes. He's so much in love with his art, he's so much engrossed in his art that forgets to eat, and ultimately he dies. Okay, so we are going to look at this story in detail. First of all, now let's go to the summary of the story. So this is a short summary, and then the analysis would be there. In the beginning, the narrator talks about an unknown man he remembers for making his father's boots. So the story begins by the narrator of the story remembering an unknown man. Okay, so first of all, this shoemaker is not named. He says that he knew him from the days of his youth. In the beginning, the narrator talks about an unknown man he remembers for making his father's boots. Okay, so there was a man who made the boots of the father of the narrator. That man lived with his brother in a shop which did not have any sign except that of Gessler brothers. So we find that this man is actually a man whose surname is Gessler. Okay, Gessler. So there are two brothers who lived in a shop, a very small shop, which did not have any sign on it except that of Gessler brothers. Okay, so we find out that this man is one of the Gessler brothers that he's talking about, and he made his father's boots. He made only what was ordered, and what he made never failed to fit. So he was a shoemaker. Okay, so his shop did not have any advertising at all. The only thing that his shop had was a sign that said Gessler Brothers, and some shoes were kept inside the window to let people know that it is a shoemaking shop. And this man, the narrator is actually remembering. Okay, so this is kind of nostalgia. The narrator is remembering about this man. Okay, so he's writing the story in the present, and he's talking about a situation in the past, that there was a man who lived with his brother in a shop called Gessler Brothers, and he made shoes, and he made only customized shoes. Okay, so a person went to him and gave him orders to make a particular kind of shoe for him, and he took the measurements and made the shoe for only that person. He did not make ready-made shoes. Now every day everything is ready-made. You go to a supermarket and purchase whatever clothes you want. Everything is ready-made, and it has to fit you, or if it loose, if it's tight, it does not matter. But the finest quality of products are those that are handmade, handcrafted for you. So he made the best quality shoes, and what he made never failed to fit. They were exact fit. He made superb boots, and the quality of his boots were very good. Okay, the quality of the shoes was excellent, superb. And when the narrator asks him if it's hard to make boot, he says it's an art. Okay, and the narrator remembers asking him one day that it must be very hard to make so many boots. But this man, this Gessler brother, one of the Gessler brothers, says that no, it's not hard, it is an art. Okay, so he considers shoemaking an art. Just like if you are an artist and you love drawing, so it's your hobby, you just enjoy doing it. When you have nothing to do, you are just drawing. So in a similar kind of fashion, he was so deeply engrossed in this activity of shoemaking that it was just like an art for him. Okay, he didn't visit him frequently since his boots lasted very long. Okay, so the narrator did not get the opportunity to visit this man frequently because the boots he made were of such a good quality that they lasted very long. The narrator remembers how he would go to his shop and ask Mr. Gessler to make him a pair of Russian boots. So he's remembering one of the occasion. He asks him to make a. The thing is that the narrator always brought shoes from this shop only, bought shoes from this shop only, because this shop produced the best quality of shoes. So one day he went to him and asked him to make him a pair of Russian boots. He would come out with a piece of gold brown leather. Now the leather that he uses is that of the finest quality. So this Gessler brother, one of that man named Gessler, came with the finest quality of leather and asked the narrator when he wanted them. And he asks the narrator when he wanted them, and he would be able to make the shoes in a fortnight. He said that he would prepare the shoes for him in a fortnight, that is 2 weeks. And as the narrator left the shop, he would hear his boots move up the stairs where Gessler bros would work on the orders. And as soon as the narrator left the shop, the Gessler brothers started working on the orders. So they were very meticulous people. Okay, they enjoyed shoemaking, and they did not never compromised on quality. So the narrator is remembering all these things. Okay, when he's writing the story, he's talking about these things in the past. One day the narrator complained to him that his boots creaked, Now, on one occasion, the narrator remembers that he said to him that your boots are creaking, and then the narrator felt very uncomfortable. Okay, he's felt very uncomfortable, as if he said something that he should not have said. But then also, okay, in spite of being such a fine craftsman, he said that he would repair the shoes, and if he could not repair them, he would just not bill him for those shoes. So he's such a humble man. You see, Gessler is a good person. Okay, he's ready to repair the shoes, and if he is not able to repair them, he says that he's not going to charge him the money for it. So this is something that is missing nowadays. This does not happen at all. You see what happens today, that people often say that no, this cannot be returned and all of that. Okay, so guarantee and warranty, okay, we'll talk about that later. He would come, okay, and one day the narrator complained to him that his boots creaked. He politely told the narrator to send the boots back and that he would take them off his bill if he couldn't repair them. Once the narrator went to his shop, and now on another occasion, what happened, that the narrator went to his shop wearing boots from another firm. Okay, so in during there was some problem, and the narrator purchased shoes from somewhere else this time, and he went to his shop wearing boots from somewhere else. And the Gessler brother, I mean Gessler, was able to notice that those shoes that the narrator was wearing that day did not belong to him, and he immediately pointed out that those are not his shoes. Okay, so he has the knowledge of what he produces. And then all, after that, what happened was that Gessler touched the shoe of the narrator at the point where it hurt him. Okay, so Gessler is able to identify the problems and the defects in the shoes that are produced by bigger firms, bigger companies. Okay, so he was able to touch the shoe at the place where it hurt him. Okay, those big worms have no self-respect, he said. Okay, so he's a German man, so he has a German accent. Those big worms have no self-respect, he said. Okay, so he said that these bigger companies, they have no self-respect. All they do is advertise. So they advertise their products, but the quality of the products is very low. And here he is not advertising, but the quality of his products are very high, and most of the profits is made by the bigger firms. जो दिखता है वो बिकता है. So this is something that is happening with this is something that is the writer is trying to bring to light. Then he spoke about the hardships of his trade and complained the bigger firms make profit by advertisement and not by work. So they don't work, they only advertise, and they become popular, more people buy them. He also said he was losing work, and he also complained that he was losing work. That means that because of the onset of bigger companies, because of the onset of a capitalist society, which we are going to discuss in our analysis section, these small merchants, small people who make handcrafted products, are losing jobs. Okay, so handicrafts were actually getting extinct in the face of machine produced goods. The narrator noticed gray hair in his beard, and the narrator is also able to notice gray hair in his beard. Okay, this means that he's getting older and old, and ultimately he'll die towards the end of the story. Then the narrator ordered many pairs from him. So the narrator was very moved. He understood the problems of the man, and he ordered a lot of shoes from him. I think about 3 pairs this time, and next went to him after 2 years. And then the shoes that he made lasted so very long that he went after 2 years. His shoes lasted an awful lot of time. It was many months before his next visit to the shop. The narrator initially thought that it was the elder of the guest. So now what happened is, when he went after 2 years, he thought that he met the elder of the Gessler brothers. Okay, so there were 2 brothers. One was younger and one was older. So he thought that he is seeing the older of the Gessler brothers. But what he discovers is that the older brother has already died. Okay, so the older of the 2 brothers has died. And this is the younger brother who has become so old, who is looking so old, that the narrator initially thinks that he is the older man. Okay, so this is what he sees. The narrator initially thought that it was the elder of the Gessler brothers he saw, but discovered that his elder brother was dead, and the younger one looked aged with thin hair. He asked the narrator if he wanted any boots, and admired a piece of leather. It's a very beautiful piece. And also what he found out was that his shop, a portion of his shop was given on rent to someone else. This means that he was not able to make much profit. Okay, so he has let out a portion of his shop to somebody else, who was of course advertising, and there was this shop in stark contrast that belonged to the Gessler brothers, which was not advertising. So he came out with a piece of leather and said, "It is a beautiful piece." Now, he was so much engrossed in leather, in shoemaking, that he only talked about these things. Okay, this time also, in spite of becoming so old, he's not having a care for his life. He's just involved in leather, shoemaking, and he came and said, "It is a very beautiful piece." So, this time also, the narrator ordered several pairs, and it took long to come, and they were superb. And this time, the shoes took a little long to come. Of course, this means that he must be toiling hard to make those boots, but they were superb. They were better than ever before. And then the narrator went abroad. He left the country and went somewhere else. He returned to London after about a year, and he came to London about 1 year and went to the shop. The owner looked very old. He again placed an order for the boots, and they were better than ever, and the narrator wrote him a check. Now, after coming back to London, what happened was that he went to the shop of the shoemaker, the Gessler shop, and he ordered some boots. And of course, the man was looking very old. He said that he left behind a man of 60 and came back to see a man of 75. So this old man had become older because of the work pressure, because of not eating, which we will discover towards the end of the story. The narrator ordered several pairs, and okay. So on this time also, the narrator places an order, and when the shoe arrives, the narrator writes him off a check. Then what happens is that after 1 week, after returning to London and placing the order and getting the shoes, after 1 week, the narrator found out the name was gone from the shop. The narrator decided to visit his shop again and tell him about the good quality of the shoes that he has received. But what the narrator finds out is that the name of Gessler Brothers is gone from the shop. It is not there. There he met a young man who had taken the shop over, and he informed him that Mr. Gessler was dead. And there he got to know that the shop was now taken over by someone else, and Mr. Gessler was dead. Okay, he died of starvation because he worked meticulously on making the boots, and the reason of his death was starvation. That means he did not eat. He was always involved in making boots that he did not eat. When he got an order, it took him such a time. So these are some lines from the text. People won't wait, and people were not ready to wait. He lost everybody, and there he'd sit going on and on. I will say that for him, not a man in London made a better boot. So nobody in London made a better boot than this man. But look at the competition. But the competition is, of course, very high. He never advertised, and one of his reasons of his failure was that he never advertised. Okay, he produced the best quality of shoes, but he never advertised because he thought that advertising is a fake job. Would have the best leather too, and also the quality of his leather was very good, and do it all himself. Well, there it is, and ultimately he dies. Indeed, his boots were of the highest quality. So this is the story coming back to quality. He was sitting over his boots day and night to the very last, you see. Never had a penny in the house, and he was losing out money because of the rise of the bigger firms. Okay, so the new companies were rising, which were advertising a lot and which were saying that they are making for the Royal Society. Okay, so they're making for the kings and queens of England. But this man, okay, he did not advertise at all. All went in rent and leather, and all the profit that he made was going in rent and leather. His leather was of such high quality. How he lived so long, I don't know. Okay, so he says that he does not know how he lived so long. Maybe he survived because of his passion. Okay, because this shoemaking was like a life force to him. He was so much in love with his job that he lived probably to do this. He regularly lets his fire go out. He was a character, but he made good boots. Yes, I said he made good boots. So the quality of his boots was very good. Now let's analyze the story a bit. Commitment and honesty. So one of the things that are brought to light in the story is commitment and honesty. So this man is committed to his job. Nowadays what is happening is that people are no longer committed to their jobs. They are not honest. People are into their jobs because of making a profit. They don't care about the quality of products, they only want to make a profit. But this man was actually committed. He was actually an expert in shoemaking, and then he decided to open that business. Craftsmanship and artistry. Now, he was not just a shoemaker, he was an artist and a craftsman. Okay, this is an art from him for him, just like painting is for a painter and writing is for a writer, and shoemaking is for Gessler brother. I mean Gessler, Mr. Gessler. So the thing is that this shoemaking is not just an ordinary thing for him. It is an art that keeps him alive. Okay, it is art that he loves, and he is an expert in his art. And so this is a celebration of craftsmanship. Probably he was alive so long because of his love for the art. And also notice that when his brother died, okay, he was not very upset with it, because the only reason why he was living probably was because of being able to make shoes. He loved shoemaking. He took his time, he toiled day and night, but then this is something that supported him. Advertisements and competition. Now, first of all, let me talk a little about advertisements. So, advertisements are everywhere nowadays because so many companies are rising up. Now, what happens is when you advertise a lot, you make fake claims that our products are the best. Of course, they're not the best. Every company says that their products, their services are the best and advanced and this and that. Okay, so every advertisements are everywhere, and competition is increasing. In the capitalist society, there is a huge class difference. So people have to by hook or by crook aspire to become great, and they have to work very hard. And hard work is not the key nowadays. People have to often resort to bad means. You see, there are reports that big companies are adulterating their products, and then there is something mixed in the milk. Okay, the milk we are drinking is not pure, the honey that we are using is not pure, and everything nowadays is impure. You see, there are often things that are said in the society that people only advertise, but the quality is not there. They spend money on advertising, so they do not have the money to spend on quality. Oftentimes this happens, not with all companies, of course. So advertising is something that is very essential nowadays. He did not advertise and he died. It has become something very essential because the competition is so high, and you have to make your products and your claims known to everybody that we are offering this business. However, this does not mean that those who do not advertise are not good. Those who do not advertise can be even better than the ones that are advertising. And this is something that is brought about in this story. Declining quality of products in modern capitalist society and increasing competition. Now let me talk a little about capitalism. So when the time around which the story was written is about of 1912, I suppose. So people were very skeptical about capitalism. So capitalism is this society where there is an unequal distribution of wealth, and there are some merchants who are earning a lot of money and some are not. One of the major problems with capitalism was the fact that a lot of small traders were crushed badly by big companies, by bigger firms, because these traders did not have the money to advertise. Okay, they did not have the money to buy machines, so they made handmade products. But then there were these big firms who had machines, who mass produced goods. Okay, so there was a mass production of goods. They produced 1000 shoes in a day, and all looked the same, whereas a man like Mr. Gessler produced maybe 2 shoes, maybe 4 pair of shoes a day, each for a specific person. And these bigger firms advertised a lot, so of course people went to them. They could buy the shoe whenever they wanted. They did not have to wait. If you went to Mr. Gessler, you have to wait for 2 weeks. But if you go to a firm, you can have a shoe ready made for you They have these numbers 7, 8. So they have classified everybody that, yeah, if 7 does not fit you, 8 will fit. If 6 does not fit you, 7 will fit. Okay, but Mr. Gessler had the capacity to make a 6.5 if the case arises. So this is something that our writer John Galsworthy is trying to bring to light. Okay, I told you that he was somebody who wanted to make the best of his society. So he brought this problem out to light, that because of increasing competition, better people who made better quality products like Mr. Gessler were left out. They were downtrodden and crushed by these big firms. Okay, and it was not just a case with shoemakers, it was a case with everybody that this happened. The necessity of making a profit. Now this is also something which is very important, that profit making is very important. If you do not make profit nowadays, that means you are gone. Okay, the necessity of making a profit. See, he did not make a profit and he ultimately died, and these bigger firms are thriving because they are making a lot of profit. They are of course compromising a bit on quality, because you are only going to be able to make a profit when you invest less than you earn. Appearance versus reality. This is one of the most important themes in the story, that what appears to be the best, advertising show you that they are the best, but they are definitely not the best. Whereas the reality is that people who do not advertise, people who do not appear to be great, the shop was very small, very bad looking, but inside it was a man who actually produce the best quality products. Market driven approach to all things. Now in the modern society, what happens is, this is one of the that we have a profit making approach to all things. Even creativity is measured by making profit. Everything that a person is doing is to just make profits. Humanity is declining. This is something that is also brought about to light. Is Gessler a winner or a loser? So ultimately Gessler dies, so you can say he's a loser. But then he never compromised on his principles. He never advertised throughout his life, and he produced the best quality boots, and in this way he is a winner. So he also died in the end, but he never ever succumbed to the monster of capitalism. He continued to do his work just the way he was doing all his life. He never advertised, even to make a profit. So he is a winner in this sense, that he never compromised on quality, although he dies in the end. Nostalgia and humanity. And of course, since the narrator of the story is remembering the story, so there is of course a bit of nostalgia for the man and humanity. Of course, the story asks us to become a little more humane, to just not make profits with everything, to just not see everything with a commercial aspect. Okay, so I hope you like the analysis and the summary of the story. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, please ask them in the comment section below. This video was becoming too long, so I had to wind it up. Thank you so much, guys.